there?
No. And the food is much better now. Better.
Really?
Yes. So
Well, you know, I went by there today for the pickup, and I got a side salad and a bruised apple.
well, that's what they give the freebie today. I got that too, the freebie.
Yeah, that was terrible.
But at the restaurant, we got the fried fish and baked fish, and it was good.
See, I didn't get a copy of the menu this week.
Mm-hmm.
I was almost going to go in and stop. How many people are normally in the restaurant?
I would say about 10.
Yeah, not that
really?
many, really.
So y'all need to come and spend money because otherwise they're gonna close it.
That's not.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I heard. I don't know. I haven't get the official thing.
Okay. Yeah, I doubt seriously that they're going to close any of them.
No.
Because, quite frankly, that's the main purpose that they're there, is to provide food services to seniors.
Maybe when the classes start.
More than the classes, more than the socialization, more than anything else. It's about food services. The food services are kind of the center of all of those multi-purpose centers.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So we'll say when everything get to normal, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll have to try to get over there.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
You go every day, Armando?
I go every day. I decide not to cook anymore for lunch between Monday and Friday.
What time are you there?
We usually at 12:15 or 12:30.
Okay.
I try to get my freebie.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Okay. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Fine. Oh, the sun is coming out.
Sun is
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, the sun is coming out. Okay, so there's what, 6, 7 of us here. Okay. All right. You know, I have noticed, okay, just call me crazy, but
Okay.
I have noticed that the amount of work being sent in for cheeks and stuff like that is beginning to sharply drop off.
Oh, yeah. Well, mine I'm gonna finish tonight and I send it to you.
Okay, for Thursday. Okay.
No,
Well,
from Friday.
no, for Thursday. We do a critique on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna discuss on Friday, on Thursday. Yeah.
No,
okay.
on Thursday. Yeah, Friday we draw. You'll be drawing something else.
Yeah.
If all works well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, this Friday we will start live classes at Benson. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so the drawing class for most of you will still be on Zoom, but for a few people will be there in the studio. Okay, won't change anything really, as far as how we've gone about it so far.
You told me it's no more opening in the how you say in-person class.
Well,
on the drawing and on the clay that you told me, yes.
yeah, there's they're full now. Okay, but didn't I send you an email telling you which classes you were in? I know, like Ilan is in like this Friday. He'll be there for the clay class.
Oh.
Because he filled that slot. Let me one sec.
To me, I think I'm in April, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think you're in the second session. Yeah, you're in the second session for drawing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So April 15th is when that drawing class, when you'll be on site. Okay. Now let's see. Linda Webb, Eva Tao, Fran Littner, Karen Colbert, King Trousdale, and Toby Kippen they'll be the people in the studio for the first like 6 weeks. And then after that, it will be Barbara Baker, Barbara Green, Betty Bates, Veronica Jackson, Susan Siegel, and Armando. Okay.
What about if anybody failed to attend?
Then they fail to attend, but I mean, obviously, if they miss, 2 or 3 classes in a row, then, I mean, if they miss a class, I'll be calling. Like, hey, you were supposed to be here for a class, what's going on? Yeah. But now, Armando, you see, I also have you in the clay class.
Yes.
From the 15th to the 20th. So you'll be there in the morning and in the afternoon.
Yeah, but in April, no?
In April, yes. Yeah.
Hi, Charles. Can I attend to the clay class too?
No, because it's full.
It's full?
It's full, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I was just reading off the list. I mean, we've got all the spots filled. In clay, we only have 5 at a time because the room is not very big. In the studio, we had 6 people because it's a little bit bigger. Well, quite a bit bigger. But we're trying to keep people spread out.
Okay, can you, my name is on your list. Can I have a choice to come to class if somebody didn't attend?
No. Not unless somebody drops the class, okay?
Okay.
If somebody drops the class and there's an actual opening, then I'll let everybody know, okay?
Okay.
And since I know you're interested, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I would like to get as many of you there as possible. That's my take on it. But yeah, we've got limited space right now. Okay. But anyway,
Okay.
Starting Friday, yeah, I'll be doing the 10 a.m. clay class, or not clay class, the drawing class, from Benson. So it'll look a little bit different, but we'll be doing essentially the same things. Okay. And Ilan, unmute yourself, please. Can you talk to me, please?
Absolutely, I am happy to talk.
Okay, all right. And so, yeah, I sent you a couple emails this morning, one asking for your phone number, and then I found out that I had that, your address and everything else by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to respond to that, but you are aware that Friday, you're going to be at 1 o'clock. You're going to be there for the clay class, right?
Yeah, I'll be there for clay class.
Okay.
At 1:30.
Yeah, 1:30. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's when it begins. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Anyhow, as I was saying, one of the things that I'm noticing is that we're getting a decline in people submitting stuff, particularly not so much on Thursdays, more on Tuesdays. And so what's going to happen is that I'm going to eliminate this Tuesday sharing class on April, it would be April the 5th. We'll start.
I'm not going to be able to do it that much on Thursday, so I'm going to lose out then, right?
Oh, you can't make Thursdays?
I mean, I'm busy Thursday till about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's just very difficult for me on Thursdays to.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Also, now that you have said something, maybe more people will send work in.
Well, okay.
And
my point is this, okay, which is fine, if it does drop off. But, yes, in the meantime, yeah, send stuff in.
Send more work in.
Right.
Send more work in so he'll keep it.
Yeah, but no, because on April the 5th, I'm going to start that outdoor plein air class at one location.
Ah.
See? we'll still have the Thursday,
Mhm.
online as a critique. But, yeah.
From a plain air will be on Tuesday then?
Uh-huh.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because I was kind of looking at it, and if I've got to be at Benson on Friday, do I want to do the plein air class on Thursday? So I'm going to be outdoors in the sun all day long, and then I got to get up early in the morning, like at 5 o'clock, and head into work so I can, be there for Friday. No, I don't think so. So, my other option was either to not do a Wednesday or not do a Tuesday, And since we already had a critique class on Thursday,
Well, if you'll wait till the very end to do me every time, I'll show up, but I can't get there at 2 o'clock.
yeah,
I
and
mean, it's going to be a lot more like 3 or 3:30 where I can
Yeah.
get in there.
yeah, and that's fine, because we could, if I know that you're not going to be there till like 3 o'clock,
Okay.
then yeah, I'll do your stuff toward the end, so that
Okay.
okay, maybe we'll work it
All
out.
right.
So anyway, okay, so that's kind of what's going on. Anybody got anything they need to share before we get into looking at work and stuff like that? Anything happening in life that everybody needs to know about?
Yeah, today is National Margarita Day.
Yeah, I need to know that.
It is. I didn't get
So-
the memo.
Yeah,
5
Wow,
o'clock.
That means I've got to go out. I've got a little bit of tequila left, but I don't have any margarita mix. So that means I got to go out and get margarita mix. So I can get margarita. Either that, or else I can go out for Mexican food somewhere. And,
There you go. Order, right.
I mean, I
And
guess
it's also 2/22/22.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah.
The
it is.
date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. Yes.
That's
To
my-
February
That's
22nd of 2022.
That's my trivia for the day.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have all that fun stuff going on. Okay, so all right. Well, I'm disappointed about the National Margarita Day because I'll just have to kind of figure it out, I guess.
Hey.
Go out tonight, for a margarita and some chips or something somewhere.
Hey, that's probably more fun anyway, right?
Well, yeah, I'm fine, making margaritas at home.
Oh,
But yeah, I'm not stocked up for that right now. Anyhow, so let's get looking at what we got, and let's see who's here. That's probably a good thing to do first, actually. And let's see who's around. The 4JMNSC. I'm trying to remember who that is. It's not Bernice.
no, I have a lot of names.
This is me, Charles. I
Okay.
don't know why my name is 4GMNC. I don't know why.
I don't know why either, Azam. Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's who that is. Okay. And then Armando.
Yeah, this is me.
Okay. And then, of course, we got Bernice, Ilan's here. June is here. And then Susan. Okay. All right. So let's take a look, see what we got sent in. Where are you guys? There we are. And we're going to start at the top of the list today with Miss Bernice Washington.
What does that look like?
Well, that looks like you. Miss Bernice. There we go. Okay, so
What happened? I started drawing the whole, one of the branches. I thought it's gonna take me too long, so then I stopped and started drawing. Trying to draw one.
Okay. Yeah, so you drew one section of it. Okay. And from what I'm looking at, you did a fairly accurate job of drawing one section of it. So Looks good.
I didn't send the other one in.
No,
I drew a close up. I tried to draw a close up too. I didn't send that one in.
no, I just got this one. That was it.
Oh no, because I did a close up. Oh well.
Okay. Well, you can, yeah. Well, okay. We got plenty of time.
Oh, you want me to see if I can find it and send it now? Let's see.
Well, let me see. Let me go back and look at your email and see if I missed it. Okay. So we're looking for Bernice. That would have been on Friday that you sent it in.
I think I sent it in probably Saturday or Sunday.
No, I didn't get anything.
Okay.
Mondo. Yeah, go ahead and resend it if you would. Okay.
I will. All right.
Yeah, and yeah, here you are, February 18th drawings. That was on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, no, there are two. Let me hear. Aha, there we go. See, you know, you guys say something. Oddly enough. Okay. Yeah, it may not have just loaded or something when I was downloading. Okay, so that's done. All right, so let's see. Close that. Stop sharing just for a moment. Okay. And all right, I'm going to close this for a moment. Move that out of the way. Move that out of the way. And where did you end up at? You're right there. Got to get you in the folder. And then we can open it up and look at them. All right, come on. All right. Tuesday. Put you in there. And I got Fran Littner calling in right now. Okay, let's see what she wants. Okay. She went away. Maybe she's having a hard time getting in today. I don't know.
It happened.
It does sometimes. Okay. All right. Yay! We got it. Okay, so let's try this again. Let me get some things out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you guys? You're over here. All right. So let's try this again. Share screen. Right there. Okay. So we're looking at a line drawing of Bernice's. Whoop.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah, that's the other one. Okay, but yeah, let's do this one first.
Okay.
Okay, so this is your line drawing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
how long did you work on this one before you realized that it was going to be more than you could really chew off?
Maybe 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. Okay, you you basically did what I asked you to do, which was to lightly pencil in, your shapes and kind of where things were, before you got too committed with, putting down any like really permanent lines. So you had a good start on this. And I guess, hindsight, it's like, well, you could have easily, rather than started a new drawing,
Just stayed on it, skip on.
yeah, don't do any more than what you've got right here and just, keep developing it. You could. That would have been an option. But if that's all I were going to do, I would have made it much bigger, on my page.
Because at the time that I started doing it, I intended to
Do
just
everything.
look like- yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's where you got to, you got to take a minute sometimes and just kind of look at it and go, okay, you know, how much of this do I really want to take on? You know, because I don't have a requirement that you draw everything that's there, right?
Right.
And I think I clearly said, you can, you know, take that image and rearrange it, just do part of it, you know. I mean, really as much or as little as you want to take on. You know, the main thing was, you know, create some kind of interesting image, right, out of it. So, you know, that's why Barbara Bradley, when I was going through the Academy of Art, always had us pause. You know, if we were going to do like a 2-minute gesture drawing, you know, we couldn't make a mark on the page for the first minute, you know, because we had to spend that first minute kind of looking and figuring it out. And then we had an idea about, you know, what it was that we wanted, you know, the lines that we wanted to use, you know, to express what we were seeing, you know, in a very simple way, you know, because, you know, a minute is really not a long time, you know. I mean, it is, but it is, you know, you're not going to get a whole totally finished drawing necessarily in a minute, right? But you can get, you know, a sense of the weight and the proportion and the movement of a figure, you know, in that time fairly easily. You just have to, you know, kind of think about it before you start drawing. So, and that's kind of the habit that I'm trying to get you guys to break, which is looking at it like a, you know, like a track and field race. You know, the gun goes off and you start drawing from the very beginning, and you haven't, and you really haven't taken any time to really think about what is it that I really want to do here. Okay. And, you know, you'd be surprised, you know, I mean, just taking that little bit of time on the upfront can make a huge difference in what you get in the end result. Because, you know, at that point, you'll have a good idea of where you want to go, you know, on that piece of paper or canvas or whatever you're using, okay? So that initial time to just sort of soak in what you're looking at and try to figure it out is really important. You know, that's much more important than making the marks on the page sometimes. Okay. So here's your longer drawing. So if you took 15 minutes to do the first drawing, that means that you took about an hour and maybe 15 to hour and 20 minutes.
I did leave at 12 because I know y'all about an hour and 15 minutes just to get that down.
Okay, all right, yeah, and look, there's nothing wrong with taking an hour and 15 minutes to do it. Now, again, when I look, you know, at, you know, if you had decided that, okay, I'm just going to do one flower, then again,
I should have made it bigger.
Yeah, you could have drawn it much bigger, you know, and that would have given you the ability to get in there and get, you know, a little more information, a little more detail than you did.
Let me tell you something about my drawing somehow. I don't know why that is. I tend to draw the side that I'm looking at. You know, it's hard for me to draw the size bigger than what I'm actually looking at. You know, it's hard for me to, you know, like look at that on the page, that side, and then make it the size
make it bigger or smaller. Okay. Yeah, and see, you know, part of that is practice, but also part of it is if you were doing more drawing from life, right?
Oh, okay.
Then
you go to a daffodil today.
Yeah, but I mean, you would get used to, because, you know, part of the practice of drawing from life is, you know, you're sitting there looking at a figure. Now, the figure may be further away from you or closer to you, so, you know, he or she may appear larger or smaller depending on, you know, how close you are to them. But, you know, usually what you do is, you know, you take that minute or so, you look at the figure or whatever it is that you're going to draw. And the very first thing I would do is say, okay, so I'm going to draw this much of it. How do I want to put it on the page? And what I might do is I might go out to the extreme left and the extreme right of that object, and just make a mark on my paper for where I want it on my page, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe I want to put it kind of toward the middle of the page, and I don't want it to go any closer than 2 inches from each side to side, and then I'll go back and look at my subject again, and I'll measure, or compare the width to the height. And I'll try to get that ratio by putting 2 marks, one on the top, one on the bottom, on the page so that it's in scale, width to height. See?
Mm-hmm.
So basically what I've just done is I've made an imaginary rectangle or square, in my mind, and I placed that object in it. See, because I already know what the height and the width ratio is. And so then I can, just draw within that space. And I know where it's going to end up on the page. It's not going to run off the left. It's not going to run off the top or the, anything. It's going to be, right where I want to put it. See, because that's the first thing I saw was how to compose my page, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And so, same thing here. You could have looked at that flower and I'm only going to draw one flower. Okay, so how much space do I want to take up on my, on my sheet of paper here? And where do I want to put it? Do I want to put it in the middle? Do I want to put it to the right? Do I want to put it to the left? Higher or lower on the page. And see, that way you can get it exactly where you want it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, think about that a little bit, as you do these things, and like I said, take a little more time up front and think about it. You had, in this case, you had an hour and a half or more to draw. And, you could have looked at that, taken 4 or 5 minutes and, just made a couple of marks on the page, and said, okay, so I want to keep it within here and I don't want to bleed it off the end. So you could have placed it, pretty much where you wanted it, and scaled your flowers to the size you want them. And they don't have to be the size you see them. You can always make them larger or smaller.
Okay.
All right. So here's John. Now John did something kind of interesting, right? He was working vertically on the page. And if we kind of remember the image was actually kind of horizontal. And they were spread out a little bit more. And in this case, you see, he took some of the elements and he pushed them together and overlapped them, so that they kind of fit together. So there's John's drawing. Let's take a look at the actual, it's in here somewhere.
There it is. Third from the bottom.
Yeah, something like that. Whoop. Okay. That's interesting.
There they are.
Third from the bottom.
Yeah. Now that I can see them. Yeah. So you see, they're a little more horizontal, right? And they're a little more spread out. And so, to get them on the page, he arranged them slightly differently than what's there, slightly, right? And he made this composition, that kind of crosses each other, right? And it kind of fits on the page kind of nicely,
Well, I have to say I'm actually pleased with the process because I sort of did what you said. I looked at the picture. To me, it was 3 sections, and I put dots. First of all, I was looking at this triangle, so I did 3 dots for each section. Then I actually drew a triangle.
Yeah.
And then in that triangle, I drew circles. to represent the flowers, and then I developed from there. So
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's a great way of doing it. So you looked at it, you abstracted it into simplified geometric shapes, being triangles, right? You know,
yes,
and you placed the triangles, you got them in relationship to each other, and then you developed your drawing from there. Okay?
right.
But you know, having that foundation of saying, okay, I'm working within this space, and that's what's going to fit in. See, you know, that's a great way of working because you know where you're going, right? You know,
Yes.
you know what your limitations are, and you finish that area, and then you can move to the next one and finish that one, so on and so forth. But you know, composition-wise, John, you know, this worked out really nicely, and it works, you know, as more of a vertical now than what the original reference was.
Correct. Yeah.
And you know, I like how you know, you kind of move the leaves up a little bit and got them in there, and that's good, you know, because you've got another element, you know, generally a darker shape against some lighter shapes. So, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to get the forward and recessed.
Yeah.
The ones in front pushing forward and the ones in back.
Yeah. Well, to me, okay, the one that seems to come furthest forward is right in this area.
Right.
Yeah, toward the bottom, and then all this stuff seems to sit back kind of nicely, and part of that is because of the line and the contrast. You know, the difference between dark and light here, and
Right.
here the drawing is really much softer, and so, you know, it works. You know, it works really nicely. You know, pushes back. You know, so that's good. Did you find it hard to draw flowers?
Yes.
Yeah.
As you can see, they're not really accurate depictions of the flower and the orchid.
Yeah, they're not accurate depictions of orchids. You know, do they look like flowers? Yeah, they do. Yeah, and they're kind of actually, you know, like a simplified sort of symbolic, you know, graphic for a flower, you know, because they don't have all the anatomy and everything of a particular
Right.
orchid. And that's okay. You know, it's fine. But
Made
yeah,
it look like morning glories.
yeah. But yeah, you did a really nice job on that. It worked out pretty
Thank you.
well.
Yeah, thanks.
And then we have June. Okay, now June pretty much so approached it, you know, as far as, you know, drawing it sort of the way she saw it. You know, she didn't recompose them a lot or anything like that. June, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I saw you. You know, I hadn't heard from you today. Okay. So you were using color pencil with this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So in looking at this, you know, your scale and proportion of the flowers and things to each other, you know, works out pretty well. The only thing I would say to you about this drawing is you need more contrast.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like if you can make your greens, some of your greens and things much darker, and or the background, you know, if you can make the background a lot darker, then you get more contrast between the flowers in the background or the flowers in the leaves, one or the other. Okay. Now I wouldn't
Yes.
make the leaves and the background darker. I'd do one or the other. Okay. And if it was
Yeah,
me, I would opt for the background. That's just me. Okay. But
Okay.
is this color pencil or is this color pencil and graphite?
Just a color pencil.
Color pencil? Yeah.
It's
So-
harder to make it dark.
Well, it takes more time. And
Yes.
so, like if you want to get, you know, really dark back here in the background, that means you're going to have to go over it like maybe 4 or 5 times. And each time
Yes.
you go over it, you're going to have to change the direction of your pencil stroke, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like right now you're kind of moving this direction, right? So if you
Yeah.
just shift your paper like 10 or 15 degrees and go back at the same angle, they're going to cross over each other, right? And it's like each layer you put on, the richer,
Oh, we'll make it up. Yeah.
the richer and darker it will get. Okay. Now, here's another trick, right? You use basically black, right? In the background, right? So pick some of your darkest colors, right? Like a really dark green or a really dark blue or dark violet,
Blue.
right? And
Yes.
it's like with each passage, go over it with a different color.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
See?
this is good. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it.
And what that will do is that will make, they're all going to combine together. They'll make a very strong dark, but it will be much richer in color
Okay.
than just using black. Okay?
Okay.
And, in using colored pencil, that's a great thing about that medium because you have to work in layers. Yeah, because you're going to put one passage of color over another and build it up. So it's like working in pastel kind of, but it's more translucent than pastels. So you get this kind of really rich mix of color by layering it, and there's an openness, to the tooth of the paper. So it's not real even. And so you'll get warmer and cooler areas all throughout, the area that you're filling in. But you could really build some really beautiful passages of color that way. Okay?
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what you might do is, rather than work on this drawing, take the same kind of paper, right? And then start with your colored pencils and do like a little 2-inch or 3-inch square and just fill it in and keep trying to build up the color and changing the direction on it until you build up a really good strong dark. Okay. See how long it takes you and how many passages of color you have to use before you get there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just as an experiment, and then you'll kind of know, what you need to do to, get, the stronger dark on there. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, and then of course, we have the lovely you. This is the self-portrait. Now, is this in your? Is this where you live?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like you're out on a balcony or something. You've got the, the rest of the building behind you.
The patio.
Yeah.
I have patio. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a nice drawing. You got good perspective on it. You got a good sense of the time of day, right? It looks like probably sunset, or late.
Yes, sunset.
Yeah, with the orange kind of color in there. Okay. Now, the same thing true here is, you could use some stronger darks, right? And, it's just a matter of keep going back over, and building up the layers of color. Now, let me point something out, okay? And anybody using colored pencil, you see this little green spot right here?
Where?
Oh, yeah.
On your nose or the side of your nose, right here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that's where the paper took like a lot of pencil, or you bared down real hard right there.
Yes.
It's darker. Okay, anytime that you do that, all you have to do is take something like an X-Acto knife, okay? And you can take the little end of the X-Acto knife and you can scrape some of that off, and just, lighten it up. So if you get it too dark, you can always take it back a little bit. You just don't want to, keep digging at it until you've dug through the paper, okay? So you got to be a little bit careful with it. But you can, you can clean those little spots up, by just, scratching over them with an X-Acto knife, and that will help lighten them up. and break them up so they're not so solid, okay?
Okay.
Would eraser work as well, Charles?
When you get it real slick like that,
Uh,
a lot of times going over it with the eraser will just kind of make it slicker.
oh, wow. Okay.
And so, you know, I usually, if if a little area kind of builds up like that, I'll just take like a razor blade or an X-Acto knife and scrape over it a little bit and take off a little of the colored pencil. And that way I get the tooth of the paper back. And if I need to go back in, real gently,
Right.
real gently, and just kind of touch it up, I can. But,
Right.
it's not a medium that is difficult really to correct or work with. You just have to know a few little tricks about how to work with it. And, when you get little things like that, you just go back in and, like I said, scrape them back a little bit and you'll be fine. Okay?
Would that work with watercolor pencil?
Well, it will depend, Now, if you're using the watercolor pencil and it's still dry and you haven't wet it, then yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but once it gets wet, you see it's going to actually sink into the fiber of the paper.
Correct.
Yeah, and you're not.
Yeah, I meant while it was dry, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. If it's dry, that's fine. If it's once it gets wet, no. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but now, if let's say that you get let's say you get too much color or watercolor pencil down and you wet it and it's too dark and it's too strong, just wash out your brush and get a little more water and, put a little more water in that area and then take a little paper towel or something and lift it out.
Right, yeah.
Don't scrub it, just, because the paper.
No.
But,
I learned that already.
yeah, and you could take a Q-tip. You could use Q-tips as well. But anytime that you're trying to lift something out, on paper surfaces, don't rub, just dab, just put it on there. In fact, sometimes, I'll wet an area and I'll just lay the paper towel out flat, just with one layer, and then just take my finger and just dab it and then lift it straight up. And then I'll move it to a new area of the paper towel and again, lay it down, dab it again until I begin to pull enough color out of there that I can either rework it the way I want to, or I get it close to where I want it. Okay. So,
okay, very good.
Yeah, there's ways of, fixing stuff. Okay. And then, is Richard here? Richard Johnston?
I don't think so.
I don't really remember seeing him today. No. Okay. All right. He sent something in though that was kind of interesting. Now, I don't know where this is from, but he took a picture of it and he sent it. Obviously, it's hanging inside of either an art show or a museum or something. Because it's got a tag over here next to it, and so yeah, I want to kind of figure out what he's, what his thought was about sending this in. But since we have it up, we're going to talk about it a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
So what do you see there? Anyone?
A blue man reaching left.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
That's what I see. Blue man reaching left.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you simplify that, so there's his arm and his hand reaching out, and yeah, here's his face with he's got Richard Nixon's nose, and haircut,
Yes.
yeah. And then we don't know what happened to the rest of him down there, but okay. But all right, you could look at it as two kind of abstract shapes, or a blue man reaching left if you want. Okay. over this yellow-green graphic X shape, right? Now, look at the two colors. And is that really blue? I
A little
mean,
more purple.
yeah, at first, it kind of looks blue, doesn't it? You know, but yeah, to me, I mean, looking at it,
Yeah.
you know, with the way that it's reacting with that yellow green, it's got a little purple in it, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Mm.
Because, yeah, the colors are balanced with each other to really kind of vibrate against each other. You know,
So
really,
would those be complementary?
yeah, they're almost direct complements of each other.
Right.
And so, yeah, that, you know, yeah, when he sent that in, I kind of looked at it and kind of thought about it, and you know, really looked at the color. And you know, at first, you know, when you really look at it, at least in the photograph, it really looks more blue. But there's this contrast, you know, real stark, you know, direct complementary contrast going on. And so, you know, obviously, it's going to have a little bit of violet in it, you know, just a little bit, to really work against that yellow green. So it's interesting color combination. Anybody have any like strong reactions to it? You know?
Yes. I don't do abstract, and I look at it and say, how can somebody do two X's in two different colors and put it up to art?
Okay. Well, you know, the simple answer to that is Mr. Duchamp, who you know, went to the public urinal in Paris and took one of the men's urinals down and brought it into the gallery and hung it on the wall. You know, and ever since then, you know, art's kind of been going that direction. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
That might have more. That might have a useful purpose.
yeah. In case you needed a break in the middle of the gallery,
Yeah.
though I don't know that he brought the plumbing with him. You know, so that may not work out. So
might not be appreciated.
no, probably. You know, but okay. And what I mean by that is that, and this is long before abstract art came along, right? And you know, Duchamp, you know, was questioning, you know, what is art, right? I mean, that was his big question to everybody. Okay, what makes this art and this over here not art, right? You know, and in a way, you know, he was asking that question, and he was kind of rebelling against the established, you know, art community, you know, and those people who kind of got to make that decision of, well, this is art and this is not, or even further, well, this is really good art and this is bad art. See? And so, you know, he was rebelling against that notion, you know, of, you know, arbitrary people, you know, kind of setting the standards for, well, this is, you know, this is something worth the public and the world taking notice of. And this stuff over here, yeah, you don't need to worry about it. See? And so, you know, that was kind of the whole story with Duchamp. And we've talked about him before. You know, he was a really pivotal figure in the transformation from traditional art into what we call modern art, right? And we'll talk about him again, I'm sure. His most famous piece of artwork, if you want to go look at it or look it up, is called Nude Descending the Staircase. Okay, and that's Marcel Duchamp is his name. Okay.
How do you spell his last name?
Dechamps. Duchamp.
Okay. Okay.
Little French guy.
Okay.
You know, they're always stirring up trouble, you know, when it comes to art. So anyway, all right. So and then we have after the X's, you know, we have a lovely drawing by Susan Adair. Okay, and you know, Susan again
Uh-huh.
kind of took
Yes.
what she saw, and you know, she pretty much drew it the way she saw it. Okay.
Are you gonna turn it? Oh no, it's already turned.
Yeah, it's already the right direction. I could. Okay. All right. Now. Okay. And Susan, I'm not picking on you alone or anything like that. But
Okay.
you know, one of the things that I kind of recommended to you guys is that you play with this and that you recompose it and that you move things around and kind of make them, you know, more interesting, right? Now, you know, Susan drew it the way it was, nothing wrong with that, okay? But, you know, in the composition that she has, right? And we'll look at it smaller because when I blow it up, you begin to cut off the edges. You know, she could have, you know, maybe, you know, brought things a little bit closer over here because she's got, it's almost like you could take a pair of scissors and cut this right down the middle and come up with two different drawings, right? Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, for example, you know, okay, this might have given you an opportunity, you know, having that distance in there to take some of these leaf shapes, you know, maybe bring a big leaf in here or something, right? And again,
Uh-huh.
you know, tie those two, you know, those two elements together in some way, right? Right now, it seems like, okay, there's one on the right, there's one on the left, you know, and, you know.
Okay. They're too far apart. Okay.
Well, no, it's not that they're too far apart. You put them kind of where you saw them, you know, but
Okay.
in part of making a piece of artwork, you know, part of it is, okay, this is what I'm looking at. How do I design it? You know, how do I place it on the page and make it more interesting, you know, a better composition, right?
Okay.
And so that's all I'm saying, okay? There's really nothing wrong with what you did, you know. It's just you had opportunities to do other things. And I just want to make you aware of them, okay? So let's talk about your actual drawing, okay? And you use colored pencil as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And then, you know, you and June seem to be sharing that same issue, right? Of not getting enough contrast, you know, between, say, the background and the flowers, things like that. Now, it's not that you didn't try, okay? You put down at least two passages of this black, you know, one working, you know, one direction and the other working really almost like 90 degrees opposite of it, okay?
Right.
Yeah. Now, if you put maybe another 4 or 5 layers of black or, you know, whatever dark color you were using, and you were
Yeah,
just turning the paper slightly every time you did it, you could have built up that contrast and made that a much darker, richer black. Okay. But it would take time. It's not a fast process. It just takes time, you know, and patience.
Okay.
Okay. And if you had done that, you see the yellows and the lighter colors that you used in the flower would pop more, you know, there'd be more contrast. And so you could see the flowers better than you can right now because of that contrast. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. So guess what? That's everything. That's everything you got sent in.
You didn't show yours.
No, I did not. Okay. So yeah, now you're gonna have to suffer through my stuff. Okay. So anyway, this
I just looked at Nude Descending a Staircase.
uh-huh. And
Not something I'd hang in my home.
okay, all right, yeah. But
My
you
appreciation.
yeah, if you look at when that was made, it was still in the 1800s. I think it was like 1870 or 1880. It was way ahead of its time.
Oh, I'm sure even now it's
Yeah. Well, no.
very,
I mean,
very contemporary, I think.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, basically, Duchamp with that painting sort of created this whole idea of cubism and a whole bunch of other isms, all rolled into one that nobody had even thought of before. And, it really was a pivotal piece. Like I said, it was like way too early,
No,
'cause
it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I can appreciate the artwork, but it's not something that I personally would.
yeah, you probably don't want to, have it hanging over your living room fireplace.
Right.
If you were a person that worked with tools and metals and stuff like that, you may like it,
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you some kind of machinist or something like that. Yeah.
Duchamp. I don't know. I mean, I just know about his art background, and that he was very avant-garde, for the general thinking and philosophy of the art of that time. But yeah, his colors were kind of industrial feeling, kind of dark and grungy, a little bit.
That's what I was going to say. I think if I lived in a very modern home structure with architectural and industrial features, that would be great.
Yeah. We'll talk more about him. he was a bit of a character. So
good subject for one of our.
For one of our Monday talks or whatever. Okay. Now, and the reason that I went back and I wanted to look at, the actual image that we worked from is one of the things that I wanted you guys to try to get was a good understanding of how complex the anatomy of any one of these flowers really is. And so if you just took one of them, right?
I tried to draw one, so it was complex.
Yeah. But, notice that everything comes off of like a center stem, right? Right here. And all these petals, and there are 5 petals that are connected to it. But there's also just this little appendage right here that comes out. And it's got two arms or wings that come off of it. And then right here in the center, and this is very difficult to see, there's like a little fuzzy ball, and it almost, it kind of reminds you of, the abstract image of a COVID virus. It almost kind of, it's got little spikes coming off of it. Yeah, well, this is the male part of the flower right here. And this is the female part, see? And notice that they're very close in approximation to each other, right? So that it can self-pollinate, right? It doesn't need other orchids around, to reproduce. But it's got a really interesting structure to it. And just, beautiful design. When you look at the shapes of the leaves and the curves in here, there's something that's, really, beautiful and kind of pleasing about, just the forms. And the fact that, even the individual petals by themselves, they're not really flat. They're kind of, they kind of have like a wave form to them. They're flatter out here on the end, they rise up in the middle, and then they sink back down. And so, and that's just these two, and then these are kind of cupped. They curve in on themselves. So they're real interesting, real complex plants. And if you take the time really to even look at what you might consider to be a simple flower, say something like a dandelion, right? And and you really start looking at dandelions very closely, you know, it's just amazing, you know, engineering, you know, of how they're put together and all the little different complex shapes that they have in them. So I just want you guys to become more and more aware of that and spend more time looking at things in nature, you know, like seashells, flowers, you know, any kind of living thing. You know, the actual structure of it, you know, tree bark, for example, you know, tree bark, you could spend forever really looking at the design of that tree bark, of that individual tree. And it's interesting how they have kind of like repetitive patterns all throughout the tree bark. So, you know, look closely, okay? So that's that. Here's my drawing of it, okay? And so you see I kind of pushed them together and overlapped them. And much like John, you know, see I started off with these kind of, you know, big abstract shapes.
And you elongated your leaves too, didn't you?
Well, I took the leaves and I moved them up behind it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that I could get some contrast and more interesting shapes in there. See, I actually went back and looked in my files and got out my artistic license, you know, and used it. See? You know, and I didn't need to renew it or update it or anything. It was still good.
All right.
So no, and see, that's what I'm kind of talking about is that just because you're drawing something doesn't mean you have to draw it exactly the way you see it. Okay. Now that might be your goal. Okay. You know, and if that's your goal, that's fine. You know, do that. But more importantly, you know, as you develop as an artist, you know, sometimes you're going to look at things and go, all right, well, this is what I'm looking at. It's kind of interesting. Okay. But how can I make it better? You know, how can I make it more interesting, give it a better composition, or make something that has more impact or excitement to it, you know, than what I'm actually looking at, right? And so you can kind of play with these things, okay? And you can, you know, compose and create and design. You know, after all, you know, you're all creative people, you know, be creative, use it, yeah? So anyway, that was my drawing from Friday. And then I went to Shane McDonald's on Sunday, and we sat around. We had a male model, and so this was my 10-minute drawing. And I have a caveat to that. It's a 10-minute drawing without the chair. I drew the chair.
I was just gonna say the chair and all.
Yeah. Well, I put in the chair during the break.
Okay.
Yeah, during the 10 minutes, I just got him and kind of the basic shape of the platform he was sitting on. And then I kind of looked at it and said, you know, you could use the chair back there, you know, give it a little depth. And so I put the chair in. Okay. And then we had after that, we had one long, you know, almost 2 hours, you know, to, you know, work with a long pose. And this was his long pose that he took. And again, you'll see the chair in there. And so that was 2 20-minute sessions, you know, that I did that drawing in.
So the chair wasn't actually there.
No, the chair was there. He was using
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was leaning against it. And I just put it in, you know, I drew it in there because it didn't make any sense to have his arm just up there floating in space, right? You know, and him hanging on to nothing. So I, you know, felt obliged to put the chair in there to kind of explain that he is, in fact, you know, resting his arm on it, and you know, he's got his hand around, you know, one of the arms of the chair. Okay, and because it didn't take me, you know, the whole 2 hours to do this, I and another artist who was directly across from me, we switched places during the break. And so then I drew the other angle from the other side, okay? So I was kind of over behind.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
And on this, you know, I didn't want to draw the full figure. I was really kind of interested in where the light and the shadow and getting that core shadow. And again, this is colored pencil. So, you know, I didn't go over this one time, you know, to get these darks. You know, I went over these at least 3 or 4 times to begin to build up those darker values and to begin to, you know, fill it in and get, you know, like some extreme darks. You know, you had to,
What was there a head on yours, or did you just ignore the? Was there a head?
no, I didn't, yeah, I didn't want to worry about the head. So I just let that go off the top of the page, you know.
Okay.
And no, I was, like I said, I was kind of really interested more like in the relationship of the torso and the legs, you know, and the light coming through, you know, across the torso. And since I got that chair and that arm in there, you know, I put that in there too. So, but that was Sunday, and that was fun. You know, it was always fun to get out and you know, paint and be around folks and catch up. But Saturday, I started a new painting, and let's see. Yeah, I don't have all the different steps. I'll show you that later. But this is the setup. So these are some of the flowers that I got for Maria for Valentine's Day. And then she put it together, you know, she put them in the vase, and then I went back and rearranged them slightly. And, you know, stole the flower arrangement, took it upstairs, you know, stashed away in the studio so I could paint it. And so, you know, the painting's not finished, but it's kind of where I'm making like that second passage of color right now and building up the paint, you know, both in the background and in the, you know, on all the different surfaces, including the fabric. And I really haven't put any light in there, you know, I'm just getting things established. But they're different parts of the day. You know, there's a lot of natural light that comes in the windows, and it really lights up, you know, certain areas, you know, like the right-hand side of the vase, the flowers, and this, you know, the fabric on this side, and maybe a little bit on the top here. And so I want to, you know, as I develop this, I'm going to get more light, you know, into the whole piece. But, you know, just trying to get a feel for that glass vase and the transparency of it, the color and stuff you can see through it. It's been kind of fun.
How did you get that textured look in the background?
Oh, just, well, this was painted on a canvas that had been primed out in gold metallic paint. Okay.
Ah.
And so I started going over it with it was kind of a dark green, and I went over that and probably went over it like twice, you know, building up the paint, and, you know, just almost like a pointillist approach where just making like small paint strokes to build up the texture, right? And letting some of that gold, you know, kind of show through. After that, I went over it with some blue, you know, just straight, probably like a cobalt blue. And I've got about 4 or 5 more layers, you know, to put on it, you know, but it's at the point where I've got to leave it alone. I've got to let it set up and dry, you know, before I can start layering more paint on it. And as far as, you know, like the flowers, at first, you know, they were just big patches of orange. And I really haven't put any great amount of detail in them. You know, all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to find the shapes, you know, and some of the different, you know, differentiate some of the different petals in there. And I've still got to go back in and modify some of the color and mute some of the color and get some things to move back, let other things come forward. So there's a lot to play with up there still yet. And, but, you know, it's been kind of a fun painting to do. You know, I
What
can.
size?
It's a 18 by 24.
Good size.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of medium size. And, you know, flowers are not my favorite thing to paint, but, you know, I like to do them because it's like every time I do a still life like that, you know, I learn a lot, you know, about mixing color and about creating texture and pushing and pulling space, you know, how to get things to move backward or forward, you know, in composition. You know, so it's a challenge, you know, it's not easy. And, you know, just, you know, for sheerly wanting to challenge myself, because I know it's difficult for me to do this, you know, so I try to do them occasionally. And you know, hopefully one day I'll actually get good at it. Yeah, one day. You know, it's probably not today, but
So
yes.
going back to your orchids, I like the way that you did that. You didn't put a dark background.
Right. Yeah.
Because sometimes you tell us to put a dark background, and many times I don't like the dark background.
Well, you know, again, you know, you got that little piece of paper called an artistic license. You can make a choice to put them on a dark background, or, you know, or not. Okay, totally up to you. Okay. So
I sent something to you for Thursday.
Okay. So now if, you know, now if I wanted to take that drawing and I wanted to convert it into a painting, which I might, because I like the composition of it, you know, see, then it might be useful for me to have a dark background, and I might put a dark background, but I don't have to, see. You know, I can always make choices about that. Right. So anyway, I worked on that. I started that on Friday, actually, and I worked on it all day Saturday and a little bit on Sunday. And then, you know, set it aside, let it rest. And I picked up one of the paintings that I've been, you know, kind of playing with for over a year, and finally finished it. So this is my, this is what I finished on Sunday.
I remember when you first showed us that.
Yeah, it's been about a year ago, you know, when I first started it, you know, and I had done some thumbnail sketches and, you know, come up with the idea, and I'd started this and did a little research on, you know, the different planets and stuff. And, you know, it's been a fun piece. You know, it sat for a long time. And, you know, I got it to a point where I had the figure and everything kind of in position. I just needed to finish it. So it was really a matter of just going back in and repainting over like the facial area, building up, you know, that and the arms and the body, and building up a little more paint on it, getting a little more color and nuance in it, and, you know, bringing it to a finish. So
Did you ever finish your Klimt?
Did I ever finish what?
I think the Klimt, the woman in gold.
No, I haven't finished that. It's still sitting here too. It's one of those many things I need to get back to. Yeah. See.
I'm still curious to see what you do with that.
Yeah. Well, it's evolved so far away from Klimt's piece, you know, other than the basic composition. Yeah, there's nothing really, you know, even similar at this point. So I'm okay with that. That's fine. You know, my intention was never to copy Klimt. It was just to kind of start as that as a source of inspiration, and then go do something else different with it. And it's hanging around up here. You know, like I said, it's on the list of, you know, I have stacks of paintings sitting around me, you know, up here. And, you know, if I didn't start a new painting between now and probably the time that I'm no longer here, I could probably spend just about all my time just finishing what I've already got started. I have a lot. And it's not like I haven't finished a lot of paintings. It's just that I keep starting. I get new ideas and things, and I get into doing it, and then I get distracted and off onto something else. And probably when I'm not teaching anymore, then I'll probably get less distracted, and be able to stay a little more on task. But till then, that's fine. I'm not too worried about it right now. So not in a panic at this point. Anyhow, does anybody know, anybody really into mythology?
No,
No?
not me.
Not you. Okay. Anybody interested in mythology?
A little bit, not to a great extent.
Not to a great extent. Okay.
I've read
So-
a couple books in the last couple of years, but
Have you?
yeah, it's been good.
Okay. Are you familiar with the story of Gaia and Kronos?
Yeah.
No.
Story of what?
Gaia, G-I-A, Gaia, and Kronos. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So just an outline, a basic, is that Gaia and Kronos actually predate the Greek gods. In fact, they are the parents of the Greek gods. Okay. Gaia is the representation of life, or the life force. So, so Gaia is seen as like a feminine force or energy, where Kronos is like space and time. And so he's seen as a male element, right? And the two of them got together, and they had children. And that was, Zeus and the rest of the Greek gods. But they also had some bad children, okay? They weren't all, great kids. Some of them really misbehaved a lot. And they were called the Titans, right? And so they had these two groups of children. They had the Greek gods and they had the Titans. And the Titans and the Greek gods had a big battle over who was going to control the universe, right? And I guess for man, luckily, the Greek gods won out, okay? And they defeated the Titans and locked them away forever in a place that they could never escape. And so, and then, and that's how, the whole line of Greek and Roman mythology, or Western mythology, basically evolved and started. So,
So the Titans and the Greek gods and goddesses were actually brothers and sisters.
Yes, they were. They were all children of Kronos and Gaia. Okay.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Sound just like children. Some of them good, some of them bad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They were brothers and sisters. They couldn't get along, and yeah. And so they had this big battle, this big war, and the Greek gods won out. So. So that's why you hear about Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. They were kind of like the major Greek gods, and they got to divide up the world, So, Hades got the underworld. Poseidon got, everything that was covered with water, and then Zeus, got the sky and land, and people, that went with it, and all the animals. So. And then, of course, there were all the children of those gods, and those were called the demigods, right? So you had people like Hercules and things like that. So, yeah, it's fun. It's kind of interesting, and like with most mythologies, I wouldn't say that there's a grain of truth in them, but if you look back culturally, it's a way that a lot of those cultures could view the world and sort of figure things out as to why things happen the way that they happen in life. And anyway, Greek mythology has been around for close to about 2,000 years before it fell out of favor to Christianity. So it had been around for a long time. anyway, old stories. So every once in a while, I'm kind of interested in mythology, and not just Greek, mythology, but also mythologies from different parts of the world. Creation stories and things from like native tribes and different cultures. I really haven't gotten into too much mythology from Asia, but I'm beginning to look into different myths and things from that as well. It's interesting stuff. So, how are we doing time? Well, it's only 3:20. Okay. So guess what? That's all I got. Unless John wants to break out the margaritas and share them with us. So, anybody got anything you want to share? Anything you want to talk about? You guys are so quiet. All right. Well, on that happy note, I guess, go spend your afternoon, drawing, painting, being creative, doing something. Okay.
Now, I was glad to hear you say you spent all day on those flowers. When I'm painting, I'll be like, why is it taking me so long just to get one line in? So I was glad to hear you say it took you a while.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, flowers for me, a lot of people really like to paint flowers. For me, I find flowers really, they're interesting, but they're difficult. They're not easy. Because you really have to be like really subtle with flowers and particularly in changes of color and value, to get them to really work. And so
and I don't have the patience for the detail.
Yeah. Well, with me, it's like when I paint flowers, I paint flowers that look like they've been made out of concrete.
Oh.
And so for me, it's about trying, like I said, you really got to pay attention to the value ranges, because it's really easy to get too much contrast, and too many sharp edges on those flowers and make them feel really solid and heavy instead of kind of light and kind of ethereal. And there are people out there, who can paint flowers and pull that off and do it really nicely. I'm just not one of them. So, so that's why I keep working with it, because, again, if you don't work with the areas that you feel like you're weak in, you're never going to get any better.
But even Georgia O'Keeffe's were not realistic looking.
No, and I would not say that Georgia O'Keeffe, I would not categorize her as one of the people who painted flowers well. She didn't.
No, but she did a lot of them.
Yeah, but I mean, again, her paintings were really not about flowers.
Right.
Yeah, she used them as a foil to have a different conversation. So we'll just kind of leave it at that, because that gets off way on this whole male female thing,
Yeah, that's enough, right?
Yeah, we don't need to go down that road today. So.
We covered that.
Yeah. Though we can, at some point in the near future. Okay. All right.
Armando, what's for lunch tomorrow, Armando?
Huh?
What's for lunch tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't look at the menu.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
He just eats what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Armando's goal is to show up and eat.
Right.
There you go.
It means you don't have to cook, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
They are doing better job now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went up to like $1, but the food is better now than before.
You know, Charles, is it just Quentin cooking or are they still using Piccadilly?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know if they're using Piccadilly or is it just Quentin doing his cooking?
Well, Quentin is doing the cooking, but Piccadilly is providing the basic foodstuffs.
Okay.
See, you know, Piccadilly was not delivering prepared food. They were just, you know, delivering
Oh, okay.
like, you know, food for a menu, and then our cooks were cooking it, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So Piccadilly is the supplier. Okay. They're not actually doing the cooking.
Right.
If they were, we'd be eating a lot more macaroni and cheese
Very true.
and fried chicken.
Oh.
And fried chicken.
And,
Yep.
and carrot souffle.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I love carrot souffle.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I've been to Piccadilly a few times, you know, and they actually, you know, for a buffet, you know, they actually do a really
not
decent
bad.
job. Yeah. I mean, I love the fried chicken, you know.
Yes.
It's really good. So now their pecan pie can use a little
Oh,
work,
yeah.
you know.
I like pecan pie, any fruit pie, pecan pie,
Yeah.
peach pie, apple pie. I don't like sweet potato pie. I don't like pumpkin pie. Nothing with banana. I don't like banana bread or banana pudding.
Oh, no. No, that's good eating right there now.
All right.
Here you go.
Cobbler, yes.
Yeah.
Peach pie. Yeah.
Okay. So we got Armando hungry now. He's
All right.
on the pie list. All right. Anyway, we will see you guys tomorrow morning at
Okay.
10 a.m. Okay.
All right.
And I got a couple of new artistry to look at.
Okay. Have a good one.
And
Okay.
and
Bye-bye.
John
Yes.
John won't like at least one of them.
I do my best to appreciate it, even when I don't like.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think once you kind of get into, you know, what they're all about, yeah, then you begin to understand it on a different level. Kind of see what they're doing. So anyway, it's been nice seeing
See you all tomorrow.
Yep. See you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.